Good afternoon. The already tense situation in Ukraine is intensifying, and now Australia is taking action. Joining me at the desk is Chris O'Keefe. Chris, a lot going on here. Talk us through the developments.
Well, Mark, it's quite obvious that the Australian government thinks that things are diabolical and dire in the Ukraine at the moment. They have ordered the evacuation of Australian embassy staff and officials from the Ukraine immediately, and our embassy, which was operating in Lviv, which is in the western part of the country, has now been closed immediately too. Now, DFAT officials have now been sent to both Romania and Poland to help the evacuation of any Australians who are currently in Ukraine trying to get out. But the Australian government has made it very, very clear, if you are an Australian citizen or an Australian resident in Ukraine at the moment, it is time to leave as a result of President Vladimir Putin's decision this morning to send in what he calls peacekeeping troops. Clearly, they are not peacekeeping troops as a result of what people in the Western countries believe, including the US President Joe Biden and Scott Morrison. They believe that it is time for Australians to leave Ukraine. It's also interesting to see today Marise Payne, our Foreign Minister, she released a statement saying that along with our partners, we're prepared to announce swift and severe sanctions that would target key Russian individuals and entities responsible for undermining Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. And she also said, this is the Foreign Minister Marise Payne, make no mistake, these personnel are not peacekeepers. You don't get these kind of statements from a Foreign Minister in this kind of language very often, Mark. So it's very clear that it looks like war is about to break out.
It looks very ominous indeed. In the last few weeks, Russia's been condemned by many world leaders. Now, Scott Morrison joins that list.
He does, and he said this in Tasmania. He was doing a press conference there this morning. He clearly knew, as a result of President Vladimir Putin's speech this morning, that the conflict was going to escalate into something pretty nasty. We have seen a UN security meeting today too, and it was widely condemned, Vladimir Putin's decision to send troops into the eastern part of Ukraine. He said that two of these annexed provinces in the eastern part of Ukraine are essentially now independent states under the auspices of Moscow, and Scott Morrison said that is absolutely unacceptable and undermines the sovereignty of Ukraine.
Some suggestion that they're peacekeeping is nonsense. They have moved in on Ukrainian sovereign territory. We cannot have threats of violence being used to seek to advantage nations' positions over others.
Chris, clearly a situation that is getting worse. Ukraine's a long way away, and when we're a long way away from any conflict, will we see any ramifications, do you think, here?
The initial thing, and the thing that every single one of us will notice, is the price of petrol will skyrocket. It's looking like it'll hit in excess of $100 US a barrel. That's for crude oil, and that means we're looking at $2 a litre for E10 anywhere in Australia just to fill up your car. Also, we don't do a whole lot of business with Russia, but there's things like aluminium and importing fertilisers for our farmers. That will all get more expensive. So while we're a long way away from the conflict, we're still in a global market, and that's where Australia will feel the pinch.
OK, Chris, thank you.